This episode of Why Did I Become a Doctor is brought to you in partnership with Medical Brief, South Africa's leading daily healthcare news service. Stay informed with trusted reporting, expert insights, and analysis that matters to healthcare professionals. Subscribe free at medicalbrief.co.za/subscribe.
Yak, I don't know, you know me, we grew up together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know this about me, but when I was growing up, I always thought of myself as like a city person. Like I want to be in a big town. I'll never move to the small town country life type of thing, right?
You want me to agree? Yeah.
I mean, do you agree? I don't know. You don't know.
Kind of. You mean you were from Tongaat?
Yeah. I mean, I was born in a farm, but but moved to the city. But all that changed when I moved to Standerton to do my ComServe and then eventually work in the town. Standerton converted me into a small town person. Like I could see myself going back and living. I mean, would you? Yeah. Would
Just
you ever
a small town boy?
Would you ever live in a small town?
Yes, that's what I aspire to every day.
Is that your dream?
I feel very imposter syndrome in Joburg.
So our next guest is something of he won't admit to this, but I'll tell you, he's a bit of like a local legend in the community of Standerton, which is where I worked. Dr. Eric Louw. Doc, welcome.
Thanks. Thank you.
I've never done this before, but I'm going to start by reading out some messages about you, Dr. Louw. I hope it doesn't embarrass you, but I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I conspired with your wife, who was my colleague, to get some messages. So I'm just going to read only two.
Okay.
So bear with us, but I want to give the audience a sense.
All right.
Yeah. So somebody said, today I'd like to take a moment to praise someone who has played a very special role in my family's life, my doctor. He has been part of our journey for many years, from delivering my youngest sibling to delivering my youngest child. He has been through some of the most important and emotional moments of our lives. That is something truly rare and meaningful. Not many people can say that one doctor has cared for 2 generations in their family. What makes him so special is not only his skill and professionalism, but also his kindness, patience, and calm presence. In moments of fear and uncertainty, he brings reassurance. In moments of joy, he shares in our happiness. He treats not just patients, but people with dignity, compassion, and genuine care. A doctor like him does more than heal physically. He gives comfort, hope, and confidence. He makes difficult times easier and happy times even more memorable. I'm deeply grateful for everything he has done for my family and for me personally. And truly, Doc, I feel better when I see you. That's from Aisha Bibi Muhyiddin. And then one more message, Dr. Louw. It says, Dr. Eric Louw certainly is one of a very special kind of breed of medical doctors. He commits to each and every patient with a certain kind of wit and kindness, as well as extreme knowledgeability and intellectualism. Procedures and operations are skillfully and expertly performed either at his consulting rooms or at the local hospital himself. His compassion for the sick inspires him to make house calls and work long hours. Dr. Eric treats all patients with utmost professionalism and a tender heart and ear. He is a jewel in our small community, one on whom we can always rely. The Standerton community is extremely privileged with you as our doctor. Thank you, Dr. Eric Louw. And that's from Ilna Pretorius. So, Dr. Louw, welcome.
Thanks a lot.
I can attest to that. I mean, Dr. Louw is my doctor, and he sorted me out with a couple of things that even specialists here in Joburg and Pretoria couldn't do. I got that feeling when I was treated with you. So I'm privileged to have you on, and thank you for at least making the trip all the way and accepting our invitation, Dr. Louw.
Well, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah,
glad to be here.
So, Doc, where do you come from? Well, I mean, are you Standerton born and bred, or?
No, actually, I was born in the goldfields in Virginia, the Free State.
Okay.
So and I actually grew up and I left that home. The only home that I knew was from birth till the days when I went to varsity. So my dad was working on the mines. He was an artisan. But from as long as I can remember, I wanted to become a doctor. So
why?
I think my dad played a role in that. I think if he had the opportunities, he probably would have also wanted to study medicine. But those days the guys had hard times and there wasn't money and opportunities to study. So what he did was, I think he sort of sowed a seed by always telling me about stuff in medicine, like Robert Koch and TB and the first heart transplant. And I think that sort of, changes your epigenetics. I like the word epigenetics. If you from small time can change someone's epigenetics, they start off doing only that stuff that gene, epigene, will tend you to do.
Changes your DNA almost.
No, not your DNA.
Okay.
Conditioning.
Outside the DNA.
All right.
The like for example, if you teach your kids from small time, listen, I'm just gonna let you eat vegetables and broccoli and stuff, and not chips and sweets and stuff, and you do it for long enough, their body will only crave for those healthy stuff because you've changed that epigenetics.
Okay.
So and I did that experiment with my daughter, and even at birthday parties when she was a small girl, when they eat chips and sweets and stuff, she wouldn't eat it. She would wait for stuff like vegetables or broccoli or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is just a bit of the epigenetics. So what I think is my head started to think towards medicine and stuff when I was still in primary school. My mother had a hard time keeping my room civilized and clean because I dissected birds and rats and mice, and I stuffed animals up, and
For what, to learn, or?
I was just fascinated by what's going on inside here and how it looks inside this animal, and
Okay.
so insects and all those things. And then when you reach in those days it was standard 5, nowadays it's grade 7. You had to fill in a little form. So what do you want to do one day? What is your aspirations for one day? And even on that form in standard 5 or grade 7, I wrote I wanted to be a doctor. So time goes by, and then you had to fill in forms and apply for different. Well, I decided, let me just apply at all the universities, and if I say all, say Stellenbosch, Free State and Pretoria, because it's a selection process, and it doesn't mean you're going to end up being selected. So luckily I got selected at all the universities, but now the thing was money to study. And my dad told me, he said, if you're not going to get a bursary, study hard enough to get a bursary, then it's going to be off the table. There's no money for studies then. So
And what year was this, Doc? Sorry.
That was in, my matric year was 79. So, 78 already, you had to sort of started doing your forms stuff and your selections. And so I started, because my dad worked on the mines, there was this one bursary that the Chamber of Mines gave out those days. And what makes that specific bursary very special is that you never had to work back. They give you that bursary. There was only one condition. You couldn't fail. As soon as you fail 1 year, the bursary will be gone. So, and luckily I got the bursary. So then I went to varsity, and I decided, I think I was a bit guided there by my GP those days. And, even when I actually later on, I did some practical work at his practice, but I went to him and I asked him what would he suggest? Where should I go and study? And he said, no, probably because he was from Pretoria. He said, no, you must rather go to the University of Pretoria. So I went there. I think there's nothing wrong with the other universities, but I was happy there. It was a good learning curve. Those days were different than nowadays. And if I say different, I mean, if you look at how they train guys nowadays, it's definitely different. There's a change in the method of learning. So I went there, and I started studying at University of Pretoria. I didn't go to a hostel. My dad said, no, I should rather just focus on my work at that stage, because there was this fear of losing the bursary, and you don't want to do that by
If you fail.
playing too much
Yeah.
around and stuff like that.
So did your dad think you might be playing around too much there?
No, he didn't. He
Yeah.
was just saying, he also had this abnormal fears of things like you shouldn't lose focus.
Okay.
You shouldn't, go and party too much and forget about your studies, because if you're gonna fail, you're gonna lose your bursary.
And he's also vicariously living his dream through you.
I think that's what happened,
But this is what I don't want to get to university yet, Doc. I want to dig in deeper on the childhood first.
Yeah.
Because you said he planted the seed, right, and
Yeah.
probably changed your epigenetics. What do you think made him do that? Did he see something in you, or was it maybe his dream? Or
I think it was sort of his dream, because he was an artisan. So he fixed, he was a fitter and turner, and he did lots of work, and even at the mine hospital. But I know he told me that for many hours he stood at the window of the theater and just watched them doing the operations. So I think it was sort of a dream of himself, But I think he sort of tried to motivate me to go into that direction. I've got a younger brother, 2 years younger than me. We're only the two kids. But also, I must say, in my brother's case, who never had an interest in medicine, he tried to motivate my brother again into engineering. And my brother became a mechanical engineer. And because he worked with engineers and he could see what they do and what they did, and that it was a step higher than the hard work that he needed to do. Because he was actually, he was a very disciplined man, but I must say it, we didn't connect so good as I thought we should, because of his harshness and his disciplined systems, and sometimes you break down that bond of dad-son,
but isn't it that generation maybe? Weren't they all like that?
They were hard, these people, but not my mother. My mother was different, so, but my dad, he had fixed things, and if you don't stick to what he says, there's going to be things to account for,
Yeah.
And
My dad tells me similar stories about his old man, and I get that's like a generational thing.
It's a generational thing. And you know what they tend to do is they go back in their own childhood. He had a very hard time. They lost their farm and stuff, and now all the hardship that he went through, and I heard a lot about it when I grew up, because he sort of replayed it, and he told me again and again, and it was so, he struggled so much, and I thought later on, maybe, he should stop struggling now and just give me a chance to evolve on my own now, because otherwise he pulls me into his history of hardship, you understand? So what I did then is, even at, you said, let's get back to the school days, and even at school, and this will sound a bit crazy, but that's exactly what happened. Those days there were no TVs. I think TVs only came to the fore when I was probably grade 8, grade 7, grade 8.
That's like 75, 74.
So, yeah, plus minus there, yeah. And then all these, and that was something like, from Mars or so.
Telephone.
Everyone wants to watch the screen, and then the shows comes up, and Dallas and all those things. He was, and because, now I need to study, but I was disciplined, I did study. But he will tell you, even in high school, in secondary school, he told me, listen, go and study. You're not going to watch any TV tonight. I'm almost a matric.
Yeah.
And that was, if he says that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do. So I thought it was a bit harsh, but, later on, and we had our differences. Because, as you grow up and you become an adolescent, you start thinking differently. You become a bit of a rebel, and you say, no, I do not agree with what he says now. I don't agree with his vision for the future, because he had weird visions about the future. Should do that and this, and I said, no, it's not going to work for me. So,
did you play any sport or anything like that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did. in primary school, we did a lot of stuff, athletics and rugby and tennis, and secondary school athletics and tennis a lot.
And Virginia, I mean, is it a mining town or what is it?
It's a mining town.
So what are the professionals that you're exposed to in that kind of town? Like, does it have lawyers and engineers?
Yeah, no, it's like Standerton almost. You know, they have. But I would say the core of the town evolves and revolves around gold, the gold industry, so mining. So, engineers a lot, and but doctors, there were good GPs and doctors there, and a lot of lawyers, and not a lot, but I mean lawyers for the community. So it was actually a nice town,
Is it near Bethlehem?
No, it's about probably 2.5 hours from Bethlehem.
Okay.
It's close to Welkom.
Okay.
It's about 11 kilometers from Welkom,
Yeah.
which is another a big town nowadays. So
we had a guest recently on from another small town. Excuse me. And one of the things I said was that what I've noticed with small towns in South Africa is that all of them have three things in common. It's a KFC, a bottle store, and a church.
yeah,
I'm guessing Virginia had all of the three of the above.
churches you
Was
will
the church in-
find in all towns in this country.
Yes.
Definitely.
Was it an
There
important
was
part?
definitely a bottle store,
Yeah.
but I don't think there was
Yeah.
a KFC.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was no KFC, but
So then you moved to Pretoria. You say did you have to move?
Yeah.
How did that work?
You see, like I say, my dad was a guy with strict rules and stuff, and he hated it to drive into cities. Because the first time that I actually went to Pretoria those days was that day that I went for a bursary application. So what he did, my dad, was he said to me, in those days there were steam trains.
Yeah.
So it's not electrical stuff, it was steam. He said to me, here's a map.
Wow.
Here's a map.
Jan van Riebeeck
And you've
vibe.
got a appointment with the Chamber of Mines in Joburg and with Barlow. 2 appointments for bursary application, because we had to go all the way now to see what we will get. So he put me on the train in Virginia, and there I go. So, and Hillbrow, Joubert Park, that is where the train station was. So it was different those days. I stopped there, and then I had the map, and I walked all the way to Wits University, because the first appointment was there, the interview.
So you navigating with the map because you don't know where Wits is, right? How do you get around? You ask people.
With a map, because there were no cell phones or no GPSs or stuff like that. There were only maps.
Yeah.
Were you not afraid or intimidated or scared? Or
No,
yeah?
Sounds exciting.
I was a bit, and now I'm first time in a big city.
Yeah.
I wasn't there before in Joburg. Even it was also my first time in Pretoria. So, because he decided, no, he's not going to drive there. I need to go and look it out myself. So,
Sure.
I did the interviews, but I feel a bit out of place. Of course, I'm here from a rural town, and now I'm here in a big city amongst all these other blokes that came there for interviews. And
Did you not want to just tell him, Dad, can't you just come with me? Like, did you not want to say that? Or is it just he tells you and...
He tells you and you do what he says, that's why, and that's how it was. And
Nice.
actually, I think it's better, because I think he sort of,
makes you independent.
his vibe
Yeah.
can influence me. And I thought, it might be better if I just function
I get you.
economically and think for myself.
I get you.
So, and then I came back, and
What was that like? The trip to Joburg and all that stuff?
the train stuff was fine.
Yeah.
The train was no issue for me. And when I got back, and now I got the bursary eventually, they said, you got the Chamber of Mines bursary, all right. So now I needed to go and find a place to live in Pretoria. So now I had to go through the same exercise again. He said to me, take a map, go there, and find a place to stay.
17-year-old, 18-year-old.
Yeah, I was 17 in matric. Yeah. So we went to, but this time I asked a buddy of mine who also who was with he was with me in school. He's actually nowadays an anaesthetist in Kimberley. So I said to him, just come with me and let's do this together. So then we arrived in Pretoria, down there in Voortrekker Road. First cheapest hotel that we could get. We checked in there. It looks a bit scaly, I must say. Guys checking you out and stuff.
You think scaly even in those days? I thought everything was lovely.
You get bad places also in those days. So what I did is we checked in there and I told him, listen, what I suggest we do is we take this map now, and I've got a few ideas of places that I've seen in the newspaper that in those days they advertised in newspapers where there's a possibility of accommodation. So we set off one morning and started walking. Later on, quite a few months later on, when I was there, I went with one guy and we measured that route that we walked that day. So we walked from Voortrekker to the main campus of Tikkies. And then obviously I went to the different places and we walked over the mountain to Casino. And then a friend of mine said, listen, no, I had enough. Yeah. I'm not going to walk another step. Yeah. So I said, let's take the bus back, because he was really... Yeah, enough. Yeah. So
the anaesthetists, they like to sit in.
And we walked actually 25 kilometers.
Yeah, that's good. I know Pretoria. So.
Yeah, so it's quite a distance that we walked.
And that mountain over Gazina,
yeah,
not a joke.
So I got some in Schoeman Street. I got a place that I thought, this looks quite all right. And I spoke to the chap there and he said, no, he's got a room for me. So then my dad... When I had to check in that before university start, he organised with a guy to take us there, to drive us there. So then he went along with me.
Okay.
So we went to that hostel, and he dropped me off there. And that was it, So he said, all right, now from now on, you're on your own.
And your mom couldn't come with?
No, she didn't come. She greeted me there. My mother was, she was actually the supportive one. She could understand me. She could read the hardship and the difficult stuff, and she will go out of her way just to help you.
Mothers are like that, eh?
Yeah, the mother does. She was the one that, even in school, that would help me with papers and preparation for tests and stuff like that.
Did she cry when you were leaving, or?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
she did. She's, the tears comes very easily from her side. Always, it's been like that.
And you?
I didn't cry. I think maybe just to protect her, sort of.
Yeah.
Rather, otherwise she would have cried more. So, so I went, and actually it was a good learning curve. I actually enjoyed it there. It was good. I took my bicycle that I had at school. And I decided, let's do the trip from Schoeman, which is close to, I would say, probably 4.5 kilometers to the campus. So that's what I did. But then my dad, in my second year, he actually did something good for me. He said to me, listen, I'm going to buy you a bakkie now. So, and he bought me a bakkie.
That's without you even asking.
Yeah, without even asking. I thought, this is great. And those days a Datsun 1400. So, and that was my present, and I used that bakkie till the day I went for my husbandship in Kroonstad. After I qualified, I still drove the same bakkie. But that was a good thing for me, because now I could have, I didn't go home a lot. I never did. On holidays I did,
How long does it take to get from Pretoria to?
About 4 hours,
Sure. Yeah, okay.
But I mean, sometimes there was not really a reason for me to go home because I had to study, and it was good to see my mom again and my dad. But the only thing that interested him at that stage, are you doing well? Are you passing your exams? Stuff like that, So, but my mother was the true one that really felt for you.
Yeah, connected,
Feeling, and there's no cell phones. There were only ticky boxes those days.
Yeah.
So she was the nurturer and he was the provider.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's a ticky box for because we've got young listeners?
No, we didn't know. Those days, a telephone where you put money in to phone.
Oh.
Public
ticky box.
Yeah, like a phone booth, like that.
Not a card even those days. You had to put in coins.
And the ticky is the name of the coin, right?
No, ticky is just a name because tickies were before my time.
Yes.
It was a coin.
Yeah.
But then the name evolved, like calling it a ticky box or a coin box, and then you phone.
The only reason why I know what a ticky is because our headmaster was an elderly guy in primary school, and I used to play cricket, and he used to say, when you're bowling the ball, put it on the ticky, meaning like if you can put a coin on the
that's
on the
very
pitch.
small coin. Yeah, it is a very small coin.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of good, if you look at social media, but in those days with no social media, there was also very good stuff. I think you did you went out of your way to acquire knowledge, and you go to a library, you look at books. It's not like now that you sit on your phone and everything is in front of you, which is very easy. But on the other hand, this is a huge advantage that we sit with now, like AI and all these stuff. That I've been using that also in my work now. So that is really great stuff. But that was still a very good time without all those media abilities that we have today, not to be in those days.
Do you know a guy named Brian Johnson by any chance? He's a guy that's his goal is to live forever. So he experiments, he takes bloods on a regular basis, all bodily fluids, and he checks, and he's trying to optimize to live as long as possible. And one of the things he's doing is recently, he tweeted about it like 2 days ago, is he's going on a social media fast.
Yeah.
Because he feels like social media is actually, it's one of those things that are contributing to his death. And he said when he was off it for 48 hours and he felt so much better, and now he's doing a week fast. So the thing you're saying about social media having the positives and negatives, I totally understand it. And
actually, now that you mention it, I can just tell you something that I attended. Every year I'm going to a symposium. It's a psychiatric symposium, but there's also some neurological lectures and stuff like that. And there was a lecture that they gave about cell phones and cell phones more in kids, and the time that they've been exposed to cell phones, which is actually at this point in time, if you look at a kid under 12 years, they're talking about approximately 8 hours a day exposure to cell phones, which is, if you just imagine what you can do in 8 hours. But what this guy said who gave the lecture was that the same damage that you get due to addiction, say to cocaine or heroin, the same changes takes place in your brain when you get addicted to cell phones and computer games and stuff like that, which is actually like this, what you just mentioned now. I think it can contribute to bad stuff as well.
It's all those dopamine hits that you get.
Yeah, dopamine, and also the frequency of what the screen's emitting.
Yeah,
that has a effect on your optic now.
Yeah,
it's interesting. So Pretoria now. What's it like coming from a small town to a big city? How did you adapt? What is med school like?
I actually, your first year is at the main campus.
Yeah, in Hatfield.
Yeah, in Hatfield. But then the second year you go down to, in those days it was HF Verwoerd Hospital, Steve Pico nowadays. And then there was the rest of the medical campus was there. So it was the first year I was still asking myself, when will I reach the stage where I get to work with patients and stuff? Because in those years we still did, okay, while it is important, physics and chemistry and physiology, but then plants.
Yes.
I thought plants is not
Botany, hey, they call it, yeah.
Botany is not part of medicine. Why do I need to know how this plant and that plant works? But it's out of the curriculum now.
Okay, yeah.
They've
We didn't
taken
do
it
that,
out, which is great because it's useless to do that. So then I went to the BMW.
Yeah.
Well,
Basic medical sciences.
Yeah, you've been there also. You did study there. Eh?
Yeah. BMW in Afrikaans stands for
Basic medical
wetenskappe.
Basiese mediese wetenskappe.
Yeah, basic medical sciences.
Yeah. So, and that's where we did our dissections.
Yeah. And you were looking forward to that since you were a kid, right?
That was great stuff. I do love anatomy. That's good for me. So, and just to, dissection, see how the body looks and how it works, and that was good. That's actually where I met my wife also, because she did dentistry, and then she dissected on the same cadaver that I dissected on. So,
so that's where the connection was nurtured.
Love it, first touch.
Love it, first dissection.
Yeah. So
different ends of the body.
Now, I adapted actually easily to the city life. There was one guy living with me. He was a farmer. He studied engineering, and we lived in the same hostel. But he was freaked out. This guy's from the Northern Cape. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
And now he must drive, or he must cycle to main campus, in the traffic with his bicycle. And he freaked out. He was like going like Lance Armstrong on that bicycle just to reach the campus on the other side. And I thought, for him it was difficult because, he grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
He was on the farm the whole time. I was at least in a town,
Yeah.
But I adjusted easily, and I made a good friend, and he helped me a lot. He was from Pretoria. We connected in my first year, and his dad used to be the pharmacist of the Bronberg pharmacy. Bronberg is a specific pharmacy in Sunnyside. It was actually a very good upmarket those days.
Yeah.
Now it's changed completely. And his whole family, his mother passed away 2 weeks ago, 98.
Sure.
But he moved to Canada years ago. He's been in Canada like 20 years or so. And he came for the funeral, he came this side. But they helped me a lot of, to support me. They invited me for visits and stuff. And that was a good thing.
What's his name?
Dana Botha.
Dana Botha.
Yeah, Dana Botha.
He's a doctor now in Canada for a while.
He's been there for more than 20 years. So Dana, after my internship, I went to, in those days, the homelands. Maybe you don't even know the homelands.
Yeah, please explain for us.
Yeah, the homelands, those days, the government created homelands that can govern themselves, which was not a very successful project. So Kangwane was this one homeland close to the border of Swaziland, and they had 3 big hospitals, Tembo and Shongwe and Mbuleni. So Dana worked at Tembo, and I worked at Mbuleni Hospital. And it was during the Angolan War. So I was just up on the border, and I came back, and I was still in the service of the military. So I did some of the clinics on the border of Swaziland. So they gave me a bakkie, and I did all those clinics, and I did the sick bay also at Amsterdam. There was a military base there as well.
This is all in Mpumalanga.
It's all in Mpumalanga.
Yeah.
But I was at that stage, I was appointed as a medical officer at Mpumalanga Hospital. So I worked for the hospital, but I also had some chores to do for the military. So clinics and sick bay and stuff like that. And my wife also got a job at Mpumalanga Hospital as a dentist there. But Dana was a timber, so Dana worked there, and then there was a girl that started working there, and I was a senior medical officer, and she only started there. And she actually came from Standerton. Her mother, my brother is still a farmer at Standerton. He's still farming at Standerton. And I introduced her to Dana. So Dana is a young girl, yeah. And it wasn't, I don't even think it was a year. They got married and they've got 2 kids, and she's also a doctor. And then I moved to Canada. And I was wondering, why did Dana move to Canada? It was for a short time a general practitioner in Badplaas.
Okay.
And then he went to Nelspruit, but then he left the private sector. And he worked at Rob Ferreira Hospital and he was a good doctor. Really, he was a good. We trained together. We worked together in Kroonstad, where I did my internship, my husbandship.
And Rob's is if I also worked at Rob's for some time. That's like, have you ever been to Rob's?
No, I haven't been.
It's like the most private you can get in the public sector, in my opinion. It's very well run.
Yeah, well run.
It's a good looking hospital.
Yeah, and if you've got good skills, you can do a lot of stuff there. A lot of work and operations. But then one day, and that was just when HIV emerges, I think he said, when I phoned his mom one day, she said, no, he already emigrated.
Sure.
Just decided not even to go and look. He's just going to move to Canada. And it was, I think, one of his things that frightened him was the HIV situation, which tends to be not a big issue at all now.
Yeah.
And then he moved there and he said he wants a better life. Now, if Dana watches this now one day, he probably will criticize me now. But now I'm asking myself, if you're looking for a better life, because I'm really happy where I'm working. And, after all these years, I'm still happy working there. But if you're looking for a better life, his wife was working in this town, I think it's Morden is the name. She was working at a hospital or a clinic there, but he worked in the north of Canada. So every Monday he flew out to the north, stayed there, seeing patients there, and then he came back to his place on Fridays. So
that's the norm, eh? I've got a few friends in Canada.
I was about to say, I've got a friend who's an anesthetist doing exactly the same thing. His wife's a psychiatrist, so he goes one town and then
they put you in a deep rural.
But now you look at this and you say, listen, but Monday to Friday, I haven't been at home for years. I haven't seen my kids in that period. They grew up. I only saw them on weekends. And they're out of the house now.
Depends who you ask. For some people, that might be a perk,
That sounds like he's saying
no. I'm just defending Dana. And his absence.
But
he must get him on, tell him he must come on and give his side of the story.
Now, what I mean now is, if you look at, you want to improve your life for yourself and your family, but now you don't see your kids growing up.
Yeah.
And for me, I think if you can keep your kids at home, as long as you can, that is the best. Because if they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
Then there's no other time for connections there.
I agree with you. That's how I feel also.
So, but I mean, everyone's got his own choices to make. So for me, in retrospect, because I had also, other friend, he worked about 4 or 5 years in Canada in a practice. And he's now back in his practice in Malmesbury. So
That's Western Cape, right?
that's Western Cape. And years ago, I phoned him up and I said, listen, because I've got this so many um, guys asking me, why you're not going to Canada or Australia or somewhere, and I wanted to hear his opinion.
Do they still ask you that these days? No.
No,
Okay.
no.
Go on, yeah.
And then he said to me, listen, I've been there, and there's no way that I will go back. This is where I want to be. I want to practice here. I want to stay here. This is my country. There's different other connections, not only just medicine, so it's a culture thing maybe also.
Did you ever think of immigrating?
To immigrate?
Yeah.
And those days I did.
Yeah.
Because of, all these friends of mine going, and I thought, but I'm happy in my practice. My kids are happy. Why should I disturb everything and go now? And I'm 100% sure I did the correct decision then. Because, the kids were happy in Standerton. Actually, my son, in those days, he said to me, Dad, will they build a university in Standerton? I want to just stay here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they were still small. And, now he's living here in the city also. But I mean, I think I made the correct decision. And after all these years, looking at what I did, if you ask me would I probably do the same again, I think yes, I will.
It makes me feel good to hear that, because I've also gotten pressure from people close to me to say, think of going, even now, in 2025, 2024, 2026, think of going, and I don't want to go. But I always ask myself, is it because I'm just comfortable? I don't want to get out of my comfort zone. But I think you were about to touch on it before I interrupted you. I mean, I feel like there's a connection. It's more than just your profession and your work.
Yeah.
It's your community.
Yeah, it's your people. And it's the weather and stuff here as well.
So many things.
If I had to plug my vehicle in every time in winter when it's minus 27 degrees Celsius, I don't care how well they equip their houses and stuff. It's still not, I find it still hard these days in Standerton in the winter. It remains a challenge, so I don't want to sit up there in the snow. Snow is nice and fine for the first week, and then it becomes really an issue. Now you have to clean up your pathway in front of the garage to get your car out and stuff like
Winter
that.
tires?
Yeah, no, I don't think we've got our potholes, we've got bad politics, we've got many things that is negative. But if we just focus on positive stuff, there's still a lot of good stuff here.
You know what my personal thing is? The best thing about this country, to me, is the people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that is true. And the thing is, you must decide how you're going to navigate yourself through all the bad stuff and find the right and good routes, because then you can enjoy life here. I'll take, for instance, I've got my brother-in-law. He lives in Malawi for many years now, so 16, 17 years, and I visited him several times there. And that is a true African poor country. But if you look at
where is that? Sorry, Doc?
Malawi.
Okay.
Malawi, he's in Blantyre. But if he started a coffee shop and a guest house there. He used to be the manager for ShopRite. He's put up quite a few ShopRites up in Africa and Tanzania and so. And now he's retired, but he started this coffee shop, guest house thing there. And they do have a lot of challenges with Forex and stuff. But he told me, and I actually experienced it. I could see that these expats find their ways to enjoy life in Malawi fantastically, because they know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to expose yourself to all the bad areas and bad situations. You can navigate yourself through all this and still enjoy life. You can go to the lake or this or that. But I mean, that's just an example. So, and I think pretty much the same here. If you take your house, if you take your practice, and you put this now in the UK, it's unaffordable. You can't do that. You can't even in a ordinary house here in the UK will cost you millions of rands, So
And apart from that, I just feel like you can't call up your neighbor and say, hey, let's meet and do this, or let's chat.
Yeah,
It's the
no.
nature of people
It's
here in South
different.
Africa.
Yeah.
Well, that's the nice thing about Standerton.
Yeah.
And I told the guys the other day, I said, we are so, the community is so nice here that you can pick up a phone and phone the electrician and say, listen,
Mm.
Rudy, come here and just fix this for me, please.
Mm.
Or you phone Werner, the plumber, and say, listen, man, I've got a problem. And so did I know, but just, and without ripping you off, he will just come and sort it out for you. This you will not find here in the city.
What you're talking about, that is what made me realize I want to be a small town person. It's a community. You go to the shop.
Yeah.
So say, hey, Doc, how
Everyone
are you?
knows you there.
Yeah. Which can be a problem.
Yeah.
It depends, but it's also a great thing, right?
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
I find it very nice to chat to all these people, and after all these years, you know them, and they and I think it's a positive, a big positive.
Me too.
thing. Yeah. But you want to speak a bit more about medicine?
I want to ask you about, actually, we can speak about anything,
Yeah.
so we can carry on and flow. But I wanted to ask about med school specifically because having spoken to many people that studied at Pretoria, it's got this reputation for being like quite very strict and military style training and hectic. Did you experience it that way, or?
No, not really. No,
Yeah.
I think we had very good training in the days that I was there. Really, we had good lecturers, good specialists. It was a prestigious hospital also. Many guys from overseas visited the hospital. I mean, doctors from overseas. And it was very disciplined. You either we worked with ties, and in the summer months you had your white coats that you wore, but it was a disciplined system, because if you come late into the class during a lecture, you will be chased out. I remember the one neurologist, Professor van der Meijden. When a guy comes in late 10 minutes, he will just tell that guy, go out. You will not see that today. That discipline is not there anymore. Because I experienced this after studying. I was in Standerton actually, and I attended a diabetic course at Turkish. And I was sitting in the class there, and halfway through the lecture, these guys, 4 of them, just came in, disturbed the whole lecture, moved in, and that was fine.
Yeah.
And I thought, how is this possible? It wasn't like that in my time.
That's the norm now.
Yeah. But, even I actually sort of pissed off the professor, because he was I paid for that course. So if I paid for that course, then I can ask the questions and like I want to ask them. So these lecturers were all Afrikaans lecturers, and they lecture in English. They struggled in English to give the lecture properly. So I thought, I'm going to ask a question for myself now, because I want to know about this specific thing, but I will ask it in Afrikaans, so that he can give me a good answer in Afrikaans. And then this prof said, no, for our friends, speak English. And I thought, I'm not asking this for my friends, I'm asking it for myself. So afterwards, I wrote a letter to the dean. I said, I paid for this, and this professor stopped this guy not to answer me in Afrikaans. And the dean sent me an apology like this, and she's very sorry, it shouldn't have been like that. And that's just, one of those simple things of discipline that changed over the years. And maybe you've experienced much more of this, that guys can come in and go out as they wish, and it wasn't allowed when I.
That happens in meetings even now.
Yeah, and it's disturbing. But I mean, I've sort of also now, if you go to a congress or a symposium, I've adjusted to this now. But that is just how we were trained in those days. You'll be there on time. You don't come late. You don't interrupt a lecture or a meeting. Otherwise, you stay outside.
You see, it's because our epigenetics was altered when we were...
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
It really depends on upbringing
Yeah.
and what you're exposed to.
Yeah, you know.
I wish I wasn't that type, though. I've had this... Who did we have this conversation with? Like, are you the type of person that if you've got an appointment at like 10 o'clock, you make sure you're there like 10, 15 minutes?
Absolutely.
Are you one of those?
I'm one of
me
those,
too, right?
yeah. I'm one of
But
those.
you know, there's people that will come on the dot.
No, they will, yeah.
And they don't stress. I feel like I wish I was them,
Yeah.
because then I wouldn't stress as much as
Yeah.
I do. It adds stress to your life a bit, you know.
No, but
It is.
Yeah,
it
but
is.
even if you are late, I mean, that what it says about you not being a timeliest person is
Yeah.
that your time is more valuable than the other person's
Yeah.
time. So it's okay to disrespect
Yeah.
their time.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
No,
how I
yeah,
interpret it.
That's
But
true what you say there, yeah. No, I think, you know, rather be much earlier than to, you know, well, I think that comes actually also from my dad and my mother. They
Yeah.
always, you know,
Exactly.
they were on time. My mother is actually, she's in her 80s now, and she's still, you know, if I phone her and say, I'll pick you up 6:30 to take you to dinner or whatever, she will actually stand outside from 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
crazy, but she's
Yeah.
doing it, you
It's
know.
like epigenetics.
And it's
My parents are the
epigenetics,
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently Mandela was like that also. Like very a stickler for being on time, and
Yeah.
like would make sure his people, you know, whoever was beneath him. But that seems to have changed in time. Yeah? Like people are more just relaxed with rocking up on time or late or whatever.
I read a book the other day, which was actually a very, very good book. Just a second-hand book that I stumbled across in a coffee shop or somewhere. What is this? Radzinski, I think it's a Polish writer. The Shadow of the Sun. Excellent book. So what he said in that book was like, Africa has got a different way of time. And he was a journalist working in Africa for many years. And he saw it, you know, if there's a meeting, they say we're going to have a meeting tonight, 8 o'clock. And you come there and there's no one. There's one guy standing around. And he said, but is it not 8 o'clock? And he asked this guy, when is the meeting starting? And he said, no, the meeting will start when everyone is here. That is Africa time,
Yeah.
you know. So
We have a joke. We also call it Indian time. Eh?
Yeah.
It really does.
Weddings.
Is it?
It's a
Weddings,
wedding.
yes.
But it's so funny today,
Yeah.
like today's episode. Normally he will send me a Waze location every single time he leaves.
Yeah.
his
I'm a
house to
paranoid.
come.
He feels like I'm the paranoid one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
today was the first day he didn't.
Yeah.
He just said he's on his way.
Yeah.
So then I'm thinking, okay, right, cool. I have some time. I was at gym, and then I drove up here, and then I thought it was him behind me because you guys have the same car.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the big mirror and it was you and Dr. Betsy.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, oh my God, now I'm getting anxiety because I'm 30 minutes early.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
guy's not here yet.
Yeah.
And then,
Our
That's
epigenetics.
amazing.
It's our upbringing. I feel like you're
I
so
think
right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, let's call it brainwashing or whatever.
Indoctrination,
Yeah,
whatever.
indoctrination
Yeah.
of the brain.
Yeah.
You know, if you do that, it sticks with you for very, very long. It's like, I think it's like carbohydrate addiction. You know, if you keep on teaching someone to eat high carbs all the time, they get addicted, and carbs are very addictive. Then it takes you quite a while to change that again. Change your brain to crave for different other things than for carbs. But let's get back to medicine.
Once you quit, I mean, well, not quit, once you finished, what do you do after? You guys, you mentioned a term called, what's it? Husbandship or
Husband, yeah, that's
What is that?
nowadays I think it's internship
Yeah.
or a husband year.
husbandship?
That means it's after you studied, then you must go to a hospital. There
Yeah.
were no ComServe stuff like that. You're just gonna go and do this year, and it depends what you want to do. So if you must select a hospital, and I was lucky. I went to Kroonstad.
Mhm.
And at those days, there were two hospitals, Botshamelo and Voortrekker Hospital. And we worked at both, but most of the time at Botshamelo Hospital. So it was days where there was a lot of unrest and a lot of political unrest and gunshots and stuff like that. nowadays I'm not really in the mood for trauma stuff anymore. But what happened there was when you did a surgical rotation and you're on call, you never go home. You work right through the night at Kroonstad. And there was an excellent surgeon there, a Dr. Brink. I learned a lot from him. And this guy was like a machine, you know, he worked day and night, and then you get this acute abdomen, and he just tells you, listen, go to theatre, take the guy. Now you're in your house, man. You go with one medical officer, they are not other specialists. You've got a anaesthetist. You open this guy and you tell him, Doc, this is bad stuff, you know, this and this happened. And he actually, he fell asleep again, you know. So now I'm standing in the theatre with this open. I'm not very sure what to do here now. And then you phone him again, and then he will come. He will come and he will come and show you, and let's sort it out like this. But then you're under pressure to learn fast, to study and to learn fast, to fix things fast. You know, like let's take for instance amputations. They will show you one amputation. I said, next time we'll assist you and you will do the amputation. And I think it's a good way to learn that way. This guy still assists you and he will show you, but it puts you under pressure to start learning much quicker. You must do your anatomy, you must do your stuff. And that was good. And I think after Kroonstad, I did a lot of operations in my houseman year, which is now like an internship. And most of the guys nowadays, when they come to Standerton in their internship, they haven't done anything. They haven't done a C-section, appendix, or nothing.
That's for ComServe. They come to you for ComServe after internship.
Yeah. And they can't do nothing.
But you know what's the funny thing is? Let's pause here, because if somebody from the UK or Australia or Canada is listening to this story, right, they'll be thinking, oh my goodness, they made you, Dr. Louw, do all this stuff in your first year after qualifying. That's like, wow, bizarre.
Yeah, it is bizarre, yeah. Because, you know, they need all the specialists around them.
Yeah.
But you must remember, we had also a lot of specialists in Kroonstad. But this guy will stand next to you and he will tell you, all right, do now and let me see what's happening here. Or if this is what you encounter, you're going to solve this problem now. So you will be guided.
But you do it.
Next time you will go in first and they will watch and see what you do. So, and I think, you know, the outcomes of the patient was actually, you know, the outcomes were good.
And this is why the South African doctor is sought after everywhere in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And also our exchange programs. A lot of the guys from the UK and Canada come here.
I can actually, I'm jumping around a bit
please
now,
feel free.
but I just remember this. When I worked in the homeland at Mpumalanga Hospital, I worked with Dr. Fuller. He was a retired cardiothoracic surgeon from Joburg. He was in private practice here. I think he was one of the first guys that did bypasses up here in those days at Transvaal. So this Dr. Fuller was such a humble guy. Now, I learned a lot from him. And he, very energetic, and with this esophagus cancers, you know, it's a huge operation. So what he did was he goes through the thoracic area right through into the midline of the abdomen, open this whole area, resect that cancer, and pull up the stomach. Just to summarize it quickly like this. Now you either assist or you do the anesthetic. You do it with the old gases, halothane and pentothal and stuff like that. It can cause a lot of arrhythms and stuff like that. But you did that operation, it took approximately 4 hours, and you don't have ICUs and stuff there. You know, after this operation, guy goes to the ward. He was specially checked up in the ward, obviously. And I tell you now, the outcomes were good. You know, I'm not talking about long-term. I'm talking getting rid of the cancer, because there were no stents to put in so that this guy can swallow and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, looking at what we did and how because what would you do if you sit with this guy nowadays? with a
Transfer.
transfer.
Yeah.
And what will happen then? You will come onto a
Diagnostic.
list.
Yeah.
Will come onto a list. And when you eventually come to the front of the list, you will be probably dead or so advanced that you can't do anything for it. And I want to come back to this later on, because there's a definite something that happened in this country that pulled our practice into this niche where we could help many people that can't wait to get to the front of the list. But I'll get back to that.
Yeah.
So after Kronstadt,
It's 1 year. How many years is it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Kronstadt,
Yeah.
1 year. So you studied in 6 years and you did that housemanship. Nowadays it's shorter, no? It's 5 years.
Well, some places it's 5, but
5.
most places it's 6, I think.
6,
yeah. And then they do 2 years of internship.
2 years of internship.
Yeah.
So then it was that Angolan war.
Okay.
So, and I went to the military. My military service was, those days were 2 years.
Did you have a choice?
No.
Okay.
No, that was, you had to do it. So, went to the military, started there in Klipdrift, close to Potch, and then we moved to Wittrand, which was an old psychiatric hospital that they converted into a military base for medics.
Okay.
So we did our, now you're already a doctor and, they chased you around this young corporal of 19 years. But it's fine, I went through that, it's fine.
What do you have to do? Did they train you how to fight?
Yeah, all that stuff. You do the basics.
Yeah.
All the,
Had you shot a firearm before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you do the firearms and all those things that you need to do and map work and
but you've done
compass
that.
work
You've done
and
that.
stuff. That I did when I was in the trick. Yeah. So then it was time to go to the border. So I was posted to the Caprivi, to 3-1 battalion. It was close to 3-2 battalion, Umega. It was in the middle of the Caprivi strip. But the war was just quite hectic at that stage. It was an active war then.
Yeah, can you tell me? I mean, Angola is quite far away.
Yeah.
What was the inference of South Africa getting involved?
You see, those days with Namibia was Southwest Africa, and it was sort of under the guidance of South Africa. But then SWAPO was a political organization that wanted to take over that area. So, and Angola and Cuba and all those guys got involved up there, and we sort of, I don't know why we did actually, why we decided to engage into this war. I think it was more for the protection of Southwest Africa, which is now Namibia. So the South African troops were sent up there, and there are many books written about this. I just went up there as a doctor, So they dropped you, the plane dropped you in Grootfontein, and then you jump in the back of a Bedford, and they drove you all the way up to Rundu, and from Rundu it's then a very long drive still to the middle of the Caprivi.
Were you married by then?
Yes.
Okay.
I just got married then.
So you have to leave your wife?
Your wife, yeah. She was in at Mbuleni. So, and the thing is, like I said, only one telephone call maybe per week that you can do. No cell phones and letters, we wrote a lot of letters.
Yeah. Do you keep them? Do you have them?
I think I've destroyed all the letters.
Why?
Boxes full of them. We chucked them away after years. No, and then what happened was when we got to Rundu, then they gathered us all the doctors there. There was one guy who worked with me at Kronstadt, and now the commander, he asked a question. He said, "Which one of you sitting here can remove a spleen, if necessary? Say maybe after a gunshot or what." Now everyone is quiet. Because we know if you can remove a spleen, now you're going to go
Put you
right
in the
into
front.
Angola. Yeah. And now this guy that worked with me at Kroonstad, he said, Commander, this guy. And he pointed to me, this guy can take out a spleen.
Wow.
And I said, what the hell? Why is he doing this now? And the commander told me, listen, you go and stand there. And so you select also a guy that can work with kids, pediatrics, and this and that. And he said to us, you just stay there. And all these other guys said, you all go to the front line up in Angola. I said, thank you, my friend. You saved me. So I went to a hospital in the Caprivi, there at Umega. And, you know, there's about a population of 5,000 Bushmen there. So we served that community. All the severe Cassavacs that came down with bad injuries, they just flew them right down to the States again. So my first casualty I can remember very clearly. It was one of the Bushman females. She was washing in the Kavango River, doing washing there. And as she was washing, a crocodile grabbed her on the arm. So it crushed her arm very badly, but we flew her down also to the States. So we did a lot of obstetrics and other operations, appendixes and hernias and stuff like that. And it was nice. So we worked nice. There was a dentist there with us. And then for the kids, a GP, but he was interested in pediatrics, so he did all the children. So I enjoyed it. It was a good time. Though it was war, and you know, you feel far and away because I was married only for a short time, and now
That's
you
not
sit
nice,
up there. Yeah, that's a bit bad.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, we came back, and it wasn't that bad at all.
After how long?
I was on the border for 3 months, and after that we came back. I had a bit of a struggle. You know, they get you. It's easy to get you there, but to get you back is not always so easy. Because now, first there wasn't a plane available, and then they told us, listen, sleep in Grootfontein. Me and my crew just sleep on the floor. There are no beds. I thought, you know, now they treat us really bad after we did all this work up here. And I went to the Air Force commander and I said to him, you know, when you needed us, we were here, but now we want to go back. And every day you tell us there's no plane here. And then he actually contracted the Boeing out for us, and then they flew us down.
Well, you strike me as somebody who's not afraid to speak their mind, because you did this with the lecturer at university, and you tell the commander.
You know, I think sometimes you just need to tell what you need to tell and ask what you need to ask, because I mean, and I think it's justified because, you know, you did your part, and it was hard work, and now I think it's time just to do the own, because my wife went up there and the plane arrived there in Pretoria, and when the plane arrived, there was no one on the plane.
Yeah, that's
because we couldn't get in.
You can't just send a message.
And she's about 4 hours drive from there, you know.
Sure.
So no, and luckily they did listen to us, but I think, you know, it was also a learning curve for me. All those things that you do up there, and even the clinics that I did, the Bushman clinics. You must remember, you get a Unimog ambulance.
Those huge things.
Yeah.
Unimog.
Because it's, you know, you go off road and you go in the boondock. And really, as you drive there, lions are lying here.
Like this thing?
Elephants.
It's a Unimog.
Yeah, exactly. Like.
Let me see. You know these things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like a G-Wagon.
Yeah, and much bigger.
Yeah, bigger than a G-Wagon, yeah.
And then, you know, elephants, it's in the wild. And then for each community or Bushman community, we give them an R1 rifle. to protect themselves, against the
Yeah.
lions and the animals and
Oh.
stuff. So, and then you sit there and you see all the sick. You bring a lot of medication in the ambulance, and you treat the pneumonias and the bronchitis and whatever you can. And those that are too sick get into the ambulance, and you will take them back to the base.
Wow.
And help them out.
What an experience! It's
Yeah,
out of this world.
it was. I think it was. It was an experience for me, and you learn from these people too. No, they
Yeah.
always have to tell you, about common things that you don't learn in textbooks, like from roots and what they use up there. The Bushmen, they know how to survive, even in harsh conditions. But I found it was a good period of all. If I look at the 2 years of my army, except for when I was at the homeland, the border time was actually a good time. Good in a sense of learning, a learning curve, experience, and what I brought back with myself from there was good.
So what comes next then after that?
Then I went to Mpumalanga, and I started working at that hospital now, and I still did part-time military clinics. I did it for the military, but I did the clinics at the border, on Sergeant border. It's quite, you get a 4x4 because it's remote, and when it rains, it's almost inaccessible. So I did that, and then I did the sick bay in Amsterdam at the military base there. So I went there in the mornings. I hate parades, so I try to avoid them. So I was now and then the commander will call me in, he will scream at me and say, why you're not on the parade grounds and stuff.
What's that? What do you do there? Training, military.
No, they march there, and it's a whole ritual in the mornings, and I didn't like it.
And you had to do that?
Yeah, no, we had to do it. But now when I did the sick bay and stuff, I wasn't in the mood to doing this stuff again. I just came from the border, and I didn't want to droll there in the mornings and do stuff
What's
like
the point of that? Why do they make you do that?
It's this hoisting of the flag, and you stand there, and they will say this and this will happen today, and it's a whole ritual of, when I was at school, there was something, I don't know what you would call it nowadays, cadet.
Yeah, the cadets.
Yeah. We had like a military episode once or twice a week. You were actually dressed in browns with a beret and stuff, and you marched. They taught you that at school already.
Do you know about this? Yeah.
No, sounds terrible.
Yeah. It's actually not so bad, because I think that sort of laid the ground for you when you went to later on, when you went to the true military training. You were actually sort of primed.
So they primed you from young.
Primed you. And there was actually cadet camps at school, just like in the army. You had to leopard crawl under fences, and you stayed in tents.
I think that eventually evolved into something recreational called scouts.
But also,
like a scout almost.
But also, you see why it's news to us, because I don't think they would have done this in the schools where people of color went.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
That is true. Because it was still apartheid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to be in the army, so what's the point of
that? Of course, No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I think it was just because of that. But I think, if you look at our military nowadays, I don't think it's really sort of non-existent.
Based on what I see on social media.
There's not a lot of stuff going on at the moment. But I mean, that is how it was. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's why you were not exposed to, or those guys were not exposed to this. But after that period, when I was at the homelands, I did a lot of work. That was a brand new hospital with new anesthetic machines and stuff. We did like that, operations of Dr. Fuller, C-sections, all sorts of operations and stuff. And and they were visiting specialists, gynecologists and stuff like that, people like that. And it was different from me. I stayed we had a new house. It was just built, brand new, on the premises. So we moved into that house, and it was like 300 meters from the hospital. So I could walk there every morning. But nowadays, I think there's a different, the guys will do a walk around in the morning, probably not at night. But I didn't care, I went there, I did my walk rounds. If I was worried about a sick patient, I would go back at night and have a look again. And
What was the money like? Did they pay you well?
no, it's like government salary.
Okay.
It was, no, it wasn't a lot of
Do you
money.
remember what you did with your first paycheck?
I actually do.
Yeah.
My first paycheck in Kroonstad, when I was an intern.
Yeah.
I bought a hunting rifle.
Okay.
And I'm not a crazy hunter at all. But in those days, I thought, it would be good to have a good hunting rifle. I did some hunting, and I bought a camera. That's the two things that I bought. And, that rifle, a Saku, which is a good hunting rifle, I still have it today. And I think there's, that is, in my opinion, still a fairly good rifle, because I didn't use it that much. Some of my partners, and so they are really hunters in soul and bone, because they go every year and they will really hunt quite a few animals. But I will say, listen, I have an aim. I would say, I want a trophy of maybe this animal, so I will go after 2 or 3 years and just look for the specific animal. And I did this over years, so I've got about 5 or 6 trophies. And
Who taught you how to hunt?
No, I taught myself.
Is it not a thing you do growing up with the old man? How does it work? I mean,
No, my father never hunted, not at all. No, didn't even have a hunting rifle or nothing. I think I did it more with my friends, like Dana.
Yeah.
I went with him, and one of the other doctors, actually, his dad had a farm, a wildlife farm, and which they converted it later into a nature reserve. But we did a bit of hunting there, and later on around Standerton I did some, but never like all days up there, but never like, crazy driven hunting.
okay.
Because some guys will, they will just keep on going every year. And
Hunting is a big thing in Afrikaans culture. I mean, when I grew up in Durban, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have Afrikaans
Yeah.
peers or friends. I learned about it later on, and it's a big thing, right? It's like an annual thing that the guys go on a hunting trip every now and then.
every year, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they book again,
Yeah.
because they book on these farms where they go out, and they will do it every year, and they stay on the farm. It's a big thing.
And then you come home with all the meat.
Yeah, and then it's a
Yeah.
bolt-on making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here in this community, it's a very Greek community,
Yeah.
and a lot of our patients go out to hunting, not for the purposes of recreational, but to get
Meat.
the meat
Meat,
in order to come and cure it, and then
tongue
they
stuff.
then they sell it out
Yes,
to their
yes.
butchers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is also I would say for some people it's like a hobby. And I take my accountant for instance, Rudy from Standerton. Rudy is passionate about hunting, and guns. Guns is absolutely a massive passion. He will. I've seen he's actually such a passionate about hunting that you can sit for hours and talk to him about his guns that you will not see here in South Africa. He goes to Germany and they will build a gun for him per specification.
Wow.
With specifics on, and he will select and he will collect guns, which is fantastic, but I mean, that is not my passion at all. So everyone has got his own passion.
And the camera? Do you still have that?
No.
Why a camera? Were you a big photographer?
I'm still taking quite a bit of, I wouldn't say I'm a pro, but I like doing photography. I think there's a bit of I like art.
Yeah.
And
what sort of photography?
Wildlife, people, but if I look at the first thing that I did when let me just say, when I was in the homeland, then at one point I decided, my wife sort of started to getting fed up sitting there in the bunde all the time. She wanted to go to a town, and I had to start looking for what will be my next step. Will I go back to university and specialize in something, or will I go to a practice? So what I did was I did a locum. It was just a coincidence that the locum was in Standerton. So I went to...
Have you been there before, to Standerton?
No. Well, I just drove through it, but I've never visited the town. So I went there and I did this locum for a GP there. And then I bumped into Dr. van Heerden, which later became my partner. And I bumped into him, and I knew him then only from university, because at that point, when I was still in the homeland, I started to do a master's degree in family medicine. And we were in the same class.
Okay.
So, and he bumped into me and he said to me, listen, one of our partners are leaving the practice. He's going farming. Can't you join us here? And when I did that locum, I sort of summarized what was going on there. And I said, I can actually work in this town. So I told him, yes, all right, I think. And my wife got a job there at Standerton Hospital. And I said, yeah, no, I'm going to join you. So that will bring us to a town at least. And I solved a couple of problems. So I said to myself, if I can get satisfaction out of the job there, I will not go and specialize in that. And it was different those days. The medical conditions and the medical services was different than it's now. So what happened was I could sort of do everything that I want to do.
What year was this?
I started there in 1990, January 1990. So I could do obstetrics, could do surgery, could do orthopedics, everything.
Sure.
And that brings me to the question, should I replay everything? Would I go and specialize now, or would I just continue like I did? And I think in my heart, I am probably a generalist. I enjoy doing all these things, and I did it at a different level. I know I did it at a different level, and that's why it was so satisfactory to do it like that. And if I had to make if the conditions were the same, I probably would have done exactly the same choices. You see, and that what I mentioned earlier was, because of the deterioration of the medical services in the country, and I would say, if you look at the state sector, and I don't criticize them, but because of the system that they designed now, they designed a system where new doctors can't do basically anything. And they don't want to, many of them don't want to do anything. And what I mean by that is like operations or anesthetics. So what happened now, if you get a guy with and I'm talking about, say, Standerton, if you get a guy with appendicitis, they're not allowed to take it out or to do the operation. They need to refer to a next level hospital. which in this case is Ermelo then. So now this patient can lie there in the hospital, in casualty, and the doctor phoned Ermelo and asked for a bed for the surgeon. And if there are no beds available, this patient must stay there now in casualty, or it looks like they keep them in casualty until there's a bed available. Because I operated a girl like this about last week before last, because the family came there and said, no, she's been lying there for 2 days now. The pain is not getting better and stuff. So the system failing the patients now, not because the doctor is necessarily bad or so, but because of the referral system.
Yes, it's failing both sides.
Yeah. Now on the other side, there are not enough guys that can do the work. There are not enough beds. There are too many patients, so the lists are getting longer and longer. And in that way, something happened. And what happened here is that it created a specific opening in my practice to help these patients.
Yes.
I would say it's more by serendipity than anything else, because now these patients sitting and wait for a transfer will come to the surgery and say, Doc, listen, this is the problem. My wife is bleeding continuously. She had this huge fibroid uterus. She had several blood transfusions. She's on a list at Ermelo, but it's been a year now. They haven't called her. She needed blood again. Can you help us? And then the family, and for a reduced fee, we will say, all right, now we will operate you. We will do a hysterectomy or whatever. And the family will come to you and you will do it, and you will look after the patient in Standerton Hospital. But the hospital, as from recently, also brought out a fee system where this patient will be regarded as private thing.
Oh.
Because she's using a private doctor, and she must pay a fee when she goes in. But if you compare that to what you pay at Mediclinic or Medcare or wherever, it's really a minor fee. No?
It's a public-private partnership.
Yeah, it's a public-private partnership thing, and which helps a lot of these patients, because, you know, some of them, I can't, you know, it's difficult just to explain to you the intensity of this whole issue. It is actually a major problem.
Yeah.
Because if you look, I saw a young lad, not young, 37. He came to me and he said to me,
That's young, Doc. That's young. Come on.
That's young.
Yeah.
Come on, yeah.
That's our age. So we call it young. Yeah.
And he said to me, you know, I've got something here, you know, I don't feel something here that bothers me. You know, I just put my hand and I could feel there's a huge tumor there in his liver. So I said to him, listen, this is bad. And I don't know how he got to me, because this is the other thing. By word of mouth, people hear this guy and that town will help or assist you. And we are a team, you know. You must remember Dr. Manser is my partner, and he's doing all this anesthetics for all these big operations. And then I've got my other doctors that also assist or cooperate, or, you know, which makes it very...
But what happens when you guys all either die or retire? Because I ask this question because it's not common. This is my perception.
Very uncommon.
It's uncommon that GPs will do this kind of work.
You're absolutely right. We're one of the very rare practices that we still, and our predecessors trained us and to do these type of things. And now you're absolutely right. I think we will go extinct, and this practice will stop. But now I'm actually lucky. I've got Dr. Puchlovsky, which is a female. She did her ComServe at Standerton. She's a very capable surgeon now. She learned she's 5 years with us now. She's already doing major ops and she's good. And I've appointed now Dr. Malajohan. He's still young, he's still in the learning phase. Dr. Prinsley joined us from the other practice. He's there been for many years, as long as I am there. But their practice split up.
I think the biggest problem you're going to have is keeping it. Because isn't it a thing that people will just move, right?
Yeah, you see, that is one of my big concerns. So hopefully I try my best to, and I think, you know, because the work is interesting. It's not like just like a consultation practice, not at all, because we do gastroscopies and obstetrics and ultrasounds and all these things. So the work is interesting, and you help a lot of people. You know, if you think you do a gastroscopy, and I can just tell you that we've diagnosed so many esophageal and stomach cancers. And you can take a biopsy and you can phone a specialist and say, we've got this cancer, and he will say, send, we will do this. You know, you help a lot of patients just by doing that. But now with this niche where you can help government patients or state patients or non-private, non-medical aid patients, I think there is a specific area where we do a lot of good for people. So even from other towns now, we get patients coming there with huge hernias or inguinal hernias or fibroid uteruses, you name it. And you can try and assist these people. Like this guy that I was talking about came there with this thing here, and I scanned him, and it was a huge liver tumor. Now, I sent him, I said, listen, I can't refer you to Pretoria because they're going to tell you go to Standerton Hospital. You know the system.
Yeah.
You know the system. So just go there. And when he said to me, I don't want to die. I want to live.
Yeah.
I'm young. I want to live. I said, okay, go to Steve Pico and just tell him that you actually live there. You've got an address there, whatever. And tell him that you've got pain. And just look at you. Something is wrong here. So he went there, and I sent him to Tshwane Hospital, which is the right way. The doctor examined him there. And she I saw the paper because he brought it back. Hepatomegaly, big liver, but nothing about a tumor. Testing for viral hepatitis and stuff. And they sent him to Steve Biko. I didn't see a referral note back from them, but he said the doctor, Steve Biko, examined him, did ultrasound, said, no, you're fine, drink this medications, and you don't need to come back. Because I know for a fact that is bad news, this thing. So now he comes back to me and he said, you know, this is the, so what now? I said, please, now you sit in a predicament. He tells me, you know, please help me. I want to live. I said, the only thing that I can do is I can take you to theatre and maybe do a biopsy or see what is going on inside. And with that result that you need to pay with privately to a pathologist, we maybe can get you into oncology. No, he will do that. We must try and help him. So we did it, and we did this operation, and which is not a small operation. Now you remove a tumor like this from the liver, he needs a lot of blood transfusions and stuff. And then I could see there are small other ones in the liver. I know he's got metastases as well, dude.
So that was a full resection,
full resection of that tumor. I decided, let me take out that whole thing then. So we took it out and we sent it in, and it was a hepatocellular, poorly differentiated cancer. So, but he recovered very well. And now I know his prognosis are poor because I could see there are small other ones in the liver when I was inside. Because he never had an MRI. You couldn't see the other ones on the ultrasound. It was at the back of the liver. So now my female partner, she got him in at the oncology now at Steve Pico, giving him the histology and say, go back there and see what we can do now. But now you know, and you've seen it all over the news, that the lists, the oncology lists, are very long. I think at one stage I heard about there's a backlog of 3,000 patients or something that all needs oncology. How are you going to drive them through a system?
Yeah.
It's impossible. So you get a patient now that comes there with a cervix cancer, cervical cancer in situ. on a pap smear or a biopsy, and you say, no, you're gonna need a hysterectomy, and then follow up the histology and see whether you're gonna need something more. If you don't do that and you tell that patient, listen, you're going to come on a list for a hysterectomy maybe in 2 years' time, that thing will be infiltrated. And that's what's happening. In reality, it happens. And then it's just too late.
But you know what the story about the liver issue tells me is that the community of Standerton needs to treat you very well, make sure you live long, or you guys must have a proper transition plan in place where you're going to train up another set of GPs and make sure they stay somehow.
Yeah,
Are they
we try
associates
to
or
do.
what are they?
Yeah, it's Dr. Monson and myself are partners. So the others are not really associates. They work for the practice. So they work for a percentage of the practice. We run the admin and the practice, and the building is ours. And we supply all the instruments and everything, and we service all the instruments. They just work, and they work for the percentage of patients, which is, if you do the calculation, it's quite good for them to work like that, because they don't have any responsibilities as far as running a practice or so.
Yeah, but my point is, because also we left because he was in Foxes, I was in Standerton. But the reason why we left is, one of the reasons is, I mean, it's a small town also, so you want to be, if you're going to have kids, you're thinking of what school am I going to send, all those other factors, you know. And am I right that the GP practice is sort of like a dying thing in South Africa?
It is. You know, and the reason why it's dying, you know, we were very fortunate to get Dr. Pichlovsky to come, because she's a really good doctor. So, and the thing is, she's learning. She loves medicine. I see there is a bit of art in medicine. You know, you need to sometimes look at a different angle and to summarize and to say, and, you know, and she's got that ability. And she learns stuff. She wants to, and she's not taking chances. She will assist, and she will look, and she will ask, and she will not engage into a big thing without having an assistant, me assisting her. So I think she will turn out to be one of those. Dr. Malojani is still new. I think he's keen on learning, but it's going to take a time.
Yeah.
But like you said, you know, it is absolutely difficult to get new guys in
and to keep them
in Standerton, in a rural town, because the majority of them wants to go to, you know, if you look at many of the other GPs in town, you know, they lock their doors at night, and they're not even available after hours. And you will know, from a ethical, legal point of view, you must be available 24 hours if you have a practice. You can't drop your patient. There's no, where are they going to go? You must provide for them. Am I right?
Well, technically, they must be able to have access to emergency care somewhere.
Yeah. So,
but also, now I'm thinking of Standerton. How's the water issues there? Because when I was there in 2011, it was, I mean, when I was there in 2011, it was bad.
Oh, no, this week was particularly bad, because I had to cancel some of the elective cases, and I had to cancel the elective cases on Monday.
So it's still happening, the water thing, eh?
There is an issue now, definitely.
That's another thing which will make a person think, should I live here? You know, should I stay?
There was a bit of uprising and stuff.
There's nothing better in Joburg, to be honest.
But that's a funny thing. I'm in Sandton now, and I always say it's funny because I moved from Standerton to Sandton, and the water issues are here.
Yeah, as well.
But maybe it's me,
You're not going to escape it. I think, you know, there was a lot of hoo-ha now, so I think it will come right. Apparently they did install new pipes and pumps and stuff. So at one stage we had even my tank was empty at my house, but that's sorted out. But the problem is in theatre, and the issue in theatre is the sterilization of the packs afterwards. So
where's your theatre? Are you using state theatre?
We use the state theatre. Okay. We have a private hospital. What we do with the big cases, say medical aid patients, so we do a hysterectomy, we transfer them the same morning to Marpay, which is a private small private hospital. But we're in the process of, it's been taking years and years now that we're planning to extend it and to build a theatre and stuff there. And we were just about on the point of starting now. Now, after COVID, they've changed certain rules, and that is the width of the passages inside the hospital. So Marpa's apparently it's not wide enough. Now it changed all your plans again. Now you can't use this facility to join the others. Now we can just extend, but not. So that now you need to go back to the architects, and they need to draw up new plans. So it's a difficult thing. But I must say, because we use Standerton theatre very often and regular, we also make sure that the equipment is fine. So we bring in a lot of our own stuff as well. So for the hernias, we use our own meshes and our own K-wires and instruments, own electrical saws and stuff that we bought and bring in. Yeah.
So, Doc, you've been in Standerton 36 years now.
Yeah.
What do you do besides being a doctor and saving the community there?
Trying to save myself.
How? Why? What do you need saving from?
I think it's a good question because, you need to save yourself sometimes to deviate your mind to something else. So my hobby, years ago, I used to, when I only arrived there, I took up painting and I enjoyed it. I did painting, but the last couple of years, and I'm not trained, I'm self-trained. I'm welding. I build metal sculptures.
Okay.
And I use I've got people that supply me with this old parts and stuff, and I build metal sculptures.
Arc welding. Spot.
MIG welder.
Okay.
MIG welder with gas.
I'm glad you know what does this mean?
It's all different types of methods that you can attach materials together.
Get stick welder, and then the MIG welder uses just a gas shield and then the wire.
Where does this come from? It's a very random hobby. Like, where do you think it comes from?
I think, I don't think, maybe it's going back to my dad, because he was an artisan and stuff, maybe.
Did you see him work, or?
I did. Not that he was a welder. The welding thing we never did. But the metal thing and the welding thing, it's something that intrigued me a long time ago already. I decided I just want to build.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Don't know why. And but I can, for hours, I tell you, a whole day, I can stand in that garage and just planning how I'm going to build this or that, and I will actually prepare it. And then I will stand back and say, listen, I need to change this a bit.
I think I've seen Mrs. Dr. Louw post photos of some of your sculptures. What do you do with them afterwards? Do you sell them?
No, I've given some of them away, and some of them I still keep, and I didn't really sell any of them. I made a big one now that I was still. I took a video yesterday of it. That's a huge thing. It's more like I thought of anatomy.
Yeah.
I think I will call it the birth of anatomy.
Yeah.
I can show you the video later.
Where do you put these videos? You just keep them for yourself, or do you share them with the world? Like these videos or photos?
If this is finished, I'll just put it on Facebook sometimes. So. Yeah.
Do you have a Facebook page for your sculptures? You must start that at least.
I must actually.
What's the point of doing it if you can't share it with the world, right? You know what I mean?
I must actually do that.
Yeah.
No, but I love that. Time is an issue.
Yeah.
I think time is limited. For any hobby, time is limited. But if I do have an off time, that's what I try to do.
Is it stressful being in your job? I mean, is it stressful? Because you said saving yourself, right? So there must be something.
It's very stressful. I think it is stressful.
I think especially with like how you're doing it sounds very stressful because you've got a
High standard.
private, that and private and government collaboration. You got to, running a business in private is hectic.
Yeah.
Now you got to rely on the government guys to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But it's also, it's not like you're just giving Panado and treating headaches and stuff. Like you're doing, you know, it's...
Sometimes I must really go. I must tell you of this case. And I stick my neck out. I know that, you know. I stick my neck out to help people sometimes. And
you gave a hint of that when you asked me the question about being available all the time.
yeah.
You know, it sounds like in your mind you need to be available all the time for your patient.
Yeah. Luckily, because we're 5 now, there is a rotation, and if someone needs help and advice, we can contact one another. But you need your off time.
Yeah.
But I had this one case now. She was in a car accident some time ago with a badly injured ankle. And that caused subsequently then secondary osteoarthritis. So that ankle is really completely buggered up. So she can't hardly walk on that foot. It's too painful. So she needed an ankle arthrodesis. So the joint needs to be removed and then fixated, fused, and to, that's a fairly big operation. Now, you need actually a C-arm in theatre.
It's an X-ray, it's like a live X-ray.
Fluoroscopy to see where your screw is going. You can't go too deep. And now they approached me because she's got this medical aid, but when she was about to go in, I told her a co-payment of 70,000 rand, so she can't, it wasn't possible for her. Now they came to see me and I said, I really want to try and help you. But you must remember this, I enter a field that I'm not used to do. It's territory that is stuff that I'm not doing every day. And I don't have a C-arm. So you must, and then I explain all the complications that can happen. So I can try my best. Luckily, there's a company that supplies screws, and they give us a good discount, but they come to theatre with you from Joburg, and they scrub also, and if you need this, they give you this, and they really give us a good discount because we told them our situation, how to help the patients. So my dilemma was, how would I know where the depth of the screw, where I'm placing the screw? If I go through,
if you don't have the C-arm,
and you're in a don't have a C-arm, and I'm in a subtalar joint, and that could be an issue. So what I thought is, I must make a plan for this, and then I used artificial intelligence, and I said to them, if my entrance is, say, on the tibia, I started drilling here. This is the height of the patient, the shoe size. Can you calculate for me a safe distance or a safe length for the screw? And I put in all those necessary info, and he came back with the suggestions. And I thought, well, I need to work with this now, see if I can do that. And I use those entrance points, put those screws, and I tell you, when I took an X-ray afterwards, it was exactly perfectly right. Couldn't believe it that I calculated it so nicely. And, don't have a C-arm. A C-arm will make it really easy for you. And luckily, it worked really well then.
Yeah, and you know what the thing is, right? Especially in the field that I work in, where I'm defending doctors and dentists every day, all the time, right? With complaints and things.
Yeah.
There is a perception out there in the public that doctors just are out there to make money, and they don't have time for their patients and things like that. But I hope patients watch these kind of interviews to see that that's not always the case. There are people that go out of their way. All of this is done just to help the patient. You're not trying to figure out how I'm going to make a quick buck here or whatever. All the thought that goes behind it.
Or being a MacGyver at it. Because, there's also an indication that, you have to have that C-arm, otherwise you can't.
Yeah, you didn't force the patient to do it. Exactly.
You see that, that word MacGyver that you use
Yes.
now. I use that word very often because I tell my
You see, he's old. He's 40. He
colleagues.
knows MacGyver.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to ask,
37
MacGyver.
is young.
Yeah, I
40
tell
is old.
my colleagues,
I know, but-
today I need to do a MacGyver trick again because I don't have this and I don't have that. Now I need to organize something to sort this problem out.
But it's also important you mentioned that you're upfront with the patient here. You're not going and, you're explaining to them all the limitations.
Like you said, I endeavor really in difficult cases sometimes, and you as a lawyer would know that I'm sticking my neck out, so I need to explain to them. Do no harm if from an ethical point of view, but I think it works both ways. Just leave the patient is also doing harm. I think. And some of them are really critical. I saw a lady now. And I only realized after the surgery that she wasn't from Standerton. She's all the way here from Soshanguve here in Pretoria. And I think by word of mouth, story spread, and there's a guy there that can help you, and he will. So they transfused her again here in Soshanguve, and then she came to me, she and her partner, but he's a policeman, and she recently went on to his medical aid. But obviously now they're going to exclude that for like a year. And if I say fibroid uterus, I mean, I'm talking about like a 32-week pregnancy fibroid uterus. And she has got no kids. Now you sit with this dilemma, can we only just remove the fibroids, or if it's so bad when you get inside that you're going to have to remove the whole uterus? So you need to explain that to her and say, listen, I will do this operation, but there's a good chance that you might end up losing your uterus and you will not have kids, not in the normal way anyway. So, but I can see the pain, the continuous bleeding, the necrotic discharges. And we did this operation, and I could see there was no normal uterus left. Everything was necrotic and necrosis, degeneration of the fibroids. And I thought she must have had a bad time in her life. That's why they will come such a far way just to sort this out. And we did, I think we sorted it out, so. But I'm actually grateful that I can do stuff like that. And I think, like you said, we're a very, I say like I said, like dinosaurs, dinosaur practices. We will probably go extinct in time.
Hopefully not, but yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Are you ever thinking of retiring anytime soon? How old are you?
No,
Can I ask?
Yeah. No, I'm 63. I'll be
Still young,
64 now in May. But no, that's not, I'm not even thinking of retiring.
Good.
That's not part of my bucket list. Absolutely not. No, I think I will expire if I retire. That is not good. That won't be good for me. No,
just make sure you don't get
I enjoy my work. I say if you wake up in the morning and you tell yourself, listen, if I don't want to go to work, then maybe you should stop working.
If you can, yeah.
Yeah. But if you can still enjoy your work, I think you should do that.
Just don't get any welding injuries.
Yeah, my partner's already told me, just don't cut your hand or your fingers off.
Please, yeah.
Binder.
We need to ensure
Don't
that.
climb Everest and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. No, that's good news that you're still not thinking of, you're going to carry on until you can't anymore.
No, for
sure. Is there anything we didn't do? Oh, I remember this book. Now, writing a book, where does this come up?
Yeah.
The complexity of being human. What is this? This thing on the cover.
This
a heart.
No.
Prolapsed.
No. It's two persons. It's a little female and a male.
Did you draw this?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that part of your art? That's
yeah.
See? What's this about? Where do you? When do you? When do you?
The book.
Tell us about it. Yeah. What made you think of doing a book?
I think all of us walk around with ideas in your head. How you see life, and how you perceive life, and what do you think about different things on the planet. And it's difficult to sometimes discuss all these things with a specific person, because not everyone is open to what you think, and some will be offended, obviously. I was in a lucky situation that there are two persons that I can discuss this with very freely, and one it was my retired partner, Dr. van Heerden. He retired last year, because he thinks the same as I did, and my son also.
Your son?
Yeah, my son. I can discuss all these things.
That's great, eh?
Yeah, and the thing is, and you will know it, and you will agree with me on that, is that people are very diverse. I mean, just look at the things, the different interests, the different clothes, the cars.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
Everyone thinks different about things. Just take religion for one. 4,000, approximately 4,300 religions on the planet, and everyone thinks his religion is the right one. Or non-religions.
Yeah.
And at one stage I thought, I must just go and sit down and write all these things that comes into my mind. And then I started writing about all these different facets of evolution and how I see religion and non-religion. And then I wrote a bit about the politics in the country, and I wrote a bit about my work, all these things that I told you about, the homelands and the...
When did you write this stuff?
2023, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's got all everything that's affected your epigenetics and your way of thinking.
Yeah, I mentioned everything in there. And the thing is, in the book, I published a book with a small publisher here in South Africa, and then I thought, maybe I should just send it to a bigger publisher. And what I did is I sent it to Austin Macaulay.
Okay.
So how it works is they look at the book and they tell, listen, this book is publishable, so we will take it over or not. And they did take it over. So now I've got a contract with them.
Congrats.
And so it was now republished fairly recently, I think December.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah.
December, and now it looks similar. They just changed the wording. It's still, or the pattern, still the complexity of being human, but now it's on Amazon and on Takealot.
Oh, great. So, I was going to ask. Yeah.
That's so cool. It's got diagrams and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
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 My type of books.
Oh, well done. That's awesome. So we can search for, the complexity of being human by, does it say Dr. Eric? Just Eric Louw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned something interesting to me, which I want to dig, and if I'm prying, you can stop me.
Yeah.
But you said the thing about, there's two people you can speak freely about certain things with, and one of them was your son, right?
Yeah.
Did you, because you mentioned earlier that you didn't feel that you connected very much with your dad.
Yeah.
Did you make a conscious effort?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that bothered me my whole life. I did. Because even with my father-in-law, we were like friends.
Okay.
We had a good relationship. So it was completely different. And I made a huge effort to see that I do it right, as far as right as I can with my son, And, I will never sort of force down ideas. That is part of this book, and I think you must create opportunities for everyone to develop their own diversity and interest in stuff. Don't force them to think like you think. Don't make them like you not want to be. They must be their own person. They must focus on stuff that interests them. So
you've taught me a lot from this conversation, because I often wondered that with my daughter. She's 6 now.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, should I be hands off or should I be hands on, or do you want to force things on them? You never know, right?
I think you should guide.
Guide, yeah.
Yeah, guide. So I knew when my son was young, and I sort of tried to bring in medicine, and I could see there's no interest whatsoever. He despised blood and stuff like that. But since he was small, he had this thing with computers. Those days, what did you call those games that you
PlayStation or
Yeah, even before PlayStation, there was this other little thing that you played.
it was this called TV games.
Yeah, that TV game stuff.
Yeah.
And then later on PlayStation and stuff like that. But I could see, he was still small and he played these games on the computer. And he never considered doing anything else but to go into computers.
He wasn't cutting up birds and things like his old man. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
He was sitting, but well, I think he's got a very intellectual mind, and so he studied computer informatic science, and he's a software programmer now, or developer. What do you call them nowadays? So, and that's what he does, and he loves his work. He loves programming. There's a lot of stress in it. I didn't realize that there's so much stress in that work. Because I see now they call him right through the night if this crashes at the bank or this or that. Then he needs to stand up, and he's got this consciousness in him that he should attend to it, and he's very ambitious. And if his team, they call it, he's running a team, and if his team can't fix it, then he will, even on his off days, well,
you see,
stand in and
some
fix
things
it.
are just genetics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Dr. Louw.
But I think, I think we play a huge role in the upbringing of our kids. But I think, like you say, it's a complicated thing. It's just, you need to do a
Complexity.
Subtle, yeah. You need to go it subtle, because you don't want to force anything down on them. But you can play a huge role in the epigenetics, and I think, for instance, diet, eating is one of those things. Now, some people tend to think that kids could eat any junk because they're kids. It's not completely true.
Yeah.
They can have the one day of junk eating, but I think the other days you need to maybe guide them in it.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. Dr. Louw, it's been a privilege. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thanks for having me here.
I hope that everybody in Standerton watches this and comments and sends you messages and things like that, and me. And thanks for taking time on a Sunday and coming here.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc.
Thank you.